Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, how are we doing? How are we doing? I'm feeling a lot better today. I feel like we're going to do a live stream later around 7, 8 o'clock-ish. I'll be doing a live stream later, so make sure you tune in. Make sure you get involved. I'm sorry about not doing a live stream for a week almost. I feel bad. I feel really bad because I should have done a live stream on Wednesday and I should have done a live stream on Friday. But definitely today, I'm not going to let you guys down today. I'm definitely going to do one today. So yeah, just a quick apology about not doing a live stream. But I will be doing one today for you guys, of course. Guys, I want to talk about yesterday's fight, Joe Smith. Joe Smith called out Canelo Alvarez and Arthur Beterbiev after his win against Steve Jeffard. What did I make of it? I think, Joe Smith did what he had to do. He ended up stopping Steve Jeffard in the 9th round. I want to talk a bit about Joe Smith's performance. Listen, I like Joe Smith. I think Joe Smith's a fighting man. I think he's a warrior. I think Teddy Atlas made a point about Joe Smith, that he's a proper fighting man, and I respect him because he comes and he brings it, and he behaves like a fighter. He behaves like a fighter should behave. He's a warrior. He's a tough guy, and he comes and brings it. But in terms of his technical ability, and listen, he's a world champion. You've got to give him credit. Like anyone that becomes a world champion, it's no joke. I just don't see how he competes with it. Now, he's already been beat by Bivol. Now, he feels he's become better since then. I'm not convinced in the sense that, he hasn't really fought anybody on Bivol's level for me to say that he's become better. But even if he has, his punches are a bit weird. I feel like he throws a lot of clubbing punches, coming from the side. Very predictable for someone as elite as Canelo, Beterbiev, and those type of guys. I don't think he's the biggest. I think people are probably I think people are looking at his punching power like he's some devastating puncher. And I don't think he is, to be honest with you. I don't think he's a devastating puncher at all. So if I'm brutally honest with you, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that, he'd be able to compete against those top level guys like Beterbiev. Like, listen, he's a big guy, and if he lands something, who knows? But I like Joe Smith's attitude and his dedication, and the fact that he's a fighting man, like Teddy Atlas pointed out. But I think the lack of technical ability against those elite fighters like your Bivols, like your Beterbievs, like your Canelos, I just don't see how he beats those guys, to be honest with you, because I don't even think he's a huge, powerful guy like he can take you out with one punch. And I even doubt if he beats Callum Smith. And I'm being brutally honest. I don't even know if he beats Callum Smith. I think Callum Johnson. I think Callum Johnson hits very hard, and Joe Smith isn't the most defensively sound fighter. I just think Callum Johnson could hit him with something and hurt him. So I don't know. I feel like if you're Joe Smith and you're his team, I think you would want the Canelo fight just so you can kind of cash out and get the biggest payday. The Beterbiev fight, is it a big fight? I don't know. It's a unification fight, but I don't think Beterbiev that kind of name where he's going to get paid huge money for it. Hence, I think the fight that probably makes most sense for someone like Joe Smith is a Canelo Alvarez fight. But is Canelo going to fight Joe Smith? A lot of people seem to think that Canelo loves picking guys after kind of poor performances or weak champions. So, which I totally disagree with. But if that's the case, then, a Joe Smith fight could possibly well be next. If Canelo has an ambition of being a 175-pound champion, then I think a Joe Smith fight could definitely be next. I personally think that he won't fight Joe Smith next. I think the Jamal Charlo fight is probably going to be the one that Canelo targets next. But you never know, right? You never know. Maybe Canelo sees that performance and thinks, you know what, the light heavyweight division's there for the taking. Let me go to light heavyweight. But also, once he goes to light heavyweight, he can't come back down. So then that would probably kill a Jamal Charlo fight, because Charlo's not going to go to 175 to fight Canelo. So if he moves to 175, there'll be a few fights which probably would be dead. The Andrade fight would be dead. Which I don't think he doesn't have that much ambition to fight Andrade anyway. I'm not sure that fight will happen anyway. I think the Charlo fight will also probably be dead, and the Benavidez fight can still happen because Benavidez can move up to 175. But there'd be a few fights if Canelo does decide to move up to 175 to have his run there. I think there'll be a few fights which I think Canelo could make a lot of money from, like the Charlo fight, which I think would be dead in the water because Charlo isn't going to move up to 175. I don't see him even ending his career at 175. I just think the weight class would be too big. So I think Canelo probably should fight one of Charlo, Benavidez, or Andrade. And if it is going to be Charlo, then fair play to him. I think that's a great fight. I like that fight. But in terms of Joe Smith, I think Joe Smith's a good fighter. I think like I said, I think he's got his flaws. I don't think he's the biggest puncher. I think a lot of his shots are quite clubbing shots. He throws a lot of looping shots, the side of the head. I just don't think he can beat Beterbiev, Bivol, or Canelo. I think if he was to fight Beterbiev, I think Beterbiev would probably maul him. And I'm not so sure Joe Smith has the power to keep Beterbiev off. This Steve Jefferard, I think his name is, he was taking the shots and it took till the 9th round and he finally, and let's not forget that guy was on late notice as well. He was on late notice and he put up the best possible, the fight initially was supposed to be, Joe Smith and Callum Johnson. So, yeah, I don't think Joe Smith, although he's a champion, I do think he's the weakest out of the champs. I don't think he beats Bivol. I know he says in the interview that fight bugs him because he feels he's got better. He probably has, but I still don't see him beating Bivol. And I definitely don't see him beating Beterbiev, who I think is the best out of the lot. I think Beterbiev is an absolute beast. And he walks forward, he walks you down. And yeah, I can't see Joe Smith beating Beterbiev. I think Beterbiev is too strong. He punches too hard. And I just think that he would maul Joe Smith. I don't think Joe Smith even has that much. Like, I know people are going off some of his fights against, like, Fonfara, for example, Bernard Hopkins. But those guys were... Fonfara, yeah, he was a good fighter. But the Bernard Hopkins fight, he's a bit old. But we got to be honest, when he fought Bivol outclassed him. Now, people say Joe Smith's got better, or he's saying that he's got better. I'm not sure. I still think that his punches are quite predictable. He throws a lot of clubbing shots. It's almost like he isn't technically that sound. Like, his punches that he's throwing are a bit unorthodox. Like, he's throwing a lot in a clubbing manner rather than how, like, a boxer would throw, which is probably looks like he's not getting as much power into those shots. I'm not saying he's a big guy, and I'm pretty sure even those clubbing shots are hurting, but it's the way he's throwing the punches. It feels like to me that I feel like a lot more power can be generated if he threw his punches more accurate or more textbook. I feel like he's more of a clubbing puncher. And against the elite fighters like your Bivols, like your Beterbievs, like your Canelo, those punches are quite predictable. So yeah, I have my doubts if he can even compete against those guys. I'm not surprised he was dominated by Bivol early on because, like I said, I think those elite fighters will see those punches coming, and they have great offensive skills themselves. Hence why I'm not sure I'm not sure Joe Smith will be able to compete with those guys. It's going to be interesting to see who Joe Smith fight next. I think Joe Smith should be getting unification fights. I would have loved to see him fight Callum Johnson. I don't know if he would have beaten Callum Johnson. I would also love to see our British guys get in the mix. I would love to see Callum Smith or Anthony Yard get a shot at him because I do think Joe Smith is beatable. I actually think Anthony Yard and Callum Smith could beat Joe Smith. If I'm totally honest with you, I do. I think he could beat those though I think both of those guys are two British fighters. Anthony Yarde and Callum Smith could probably beat Joe Smith. So and Callum Johnson, by the way. So I would like to see any of those three, right, get those fights. I think Smith has got to grow himself into the weight, in the sense that I think Smith has still got a lot to prove. You know, he's only had one fight at 175, whereas someone like Anthony Yarde has probably earned the shot at beating Lyndon Arthur. I think he's probably earned a shot at someone like Joe Smith. I won't be surprised if Frank Warren pushes for someone like Anthony Yarde to get that fight over Callum Johnson, because Callum Johnson's old and Anthony Yarde is young. And Anthony Yarde has a lot of he's very marketable. So if Yarde can get in and beat Joe Smith, and I would give him a good chance. I think this would be Anthony Yarde's best chance of winning a world title. If Anthony Yarde was to fight Joe Smith and beat him, he's had it off, because he's already a very marketable guy. He's already quite well known. And there's a great chance for Frank Warren then to promote him and make a lot of money from him. He can also almost become a bit of a cash cow. The only problem is for Anthony Yarde, even if he does beat someone like Joe Smith, the light heavyweight division has got so many killers in there that it's going to be very difficult for Anthony Yarde to hold on to that title. Because, you know, you'd have to say Anthony Yarde would be a huge underdog against Bivol. It'd be a huge underdog against Beterbiev. And it'd be a huge underdog against Canelo. So, you know, although he would be marketable and potentially could be a cash cow for Frank Warren, unfortunately, I don't see him holding on to those belts for very long, because I think that the guys at light heavyweight, even the guys, forget the guys that I mentioned, but even the likes of Callum Smith, the guys below the champions, Callum Smith, your Pascals, I don't know what Kovalev's doing. Is he still fighting? You know, Kovalev's already beat Yarde. Even Brown would be a horrible fight for Yarde. There's some really, really good fighters below the champions which probably could beat Anthony Yarde. But let's see what Frank Warren decides to do. Let's see if Joe Smith just goes for a unification fight with Beterbiev. I don't know why Arum doesn't make Joe Smith and Beterbiev. Why doesn't he make that fight? They're both with him. And then that will make Canelo want to fight the winner more. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why they don't make that fight. And that the winner of that fight would have 3 belts. And that would give Canelo more of an incentive to come on ESPN and fight the winner of that fight. I don't know why Arum doesn't just make that fight. Rather than... I can see why not. I can see why not as well. Because if Arum makes that fight, Canelo will fight the winner of that fight, which means that he'll only fight once on ESPN. If Arum doesn't make that fight, Canelo will have to fight both guys, and he'll fight both guys on ESPN, which means 2 paydays for Top Rank and ESPN, and so I can see why. I can see why that Arum would want Canelo not why Arum wouldn't make the fight between Beterbiev and Joe Smith, because then Canelo would fight the winner. But this way, if Canelo fights Joe Smith, beats Joe Smith, he'll fight Beterbiev, which means he'll fight twice on ESPN. So I can understand why. But it also, you know, the fight between Canelo and the winner of that fight would be much bigger pay-per-view numbers. And the incentive for Canelo to fight him. I think Arum knows that Canelo's going to come to 175. So he probably wants Canelo to fight both of those guys. If he makes that fight, Canelo's only going to fight one. So I see it now. Actually, I take that back. I can see why Arum is not going to make that fight. And I can see why Arum wants Canelo to fight both those guys. You know, it does great business for ESPN. So, yeah, you're probably not going to get Beterbiev and Joe Smith, especially the fact that, you know, Canelo is lingering around, you know, with the idea of potentially becoming undisputed at 175. But let's see. Let's see how this plays out. Joe Smith beats Steve Jefferard. Do you think he's going to fight Beterbiev and Canelo? And how do you think he gets on with those guys? Do you give him any chance? Or do you think he's just easy work for those elite champions at 175? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Let me know what you think, guys. Make sure to smash the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Share the videos as you always do, guys. And like I said, I will hopefully be going live later on, so make sure to join. Make sure all of you join, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys. Take care.